on the 6-day workshop on machine learning and artificial intelligence. Good afternoon to one and all. I hope that all you are doing safe and well with your family during this pandemic situation. From the last 2 days, we are learning about the world of data science, machine learning. Today, we are going to do one project on the machine learning on one algorithm, and that I will be explaining in a very good way. But before that process, what approach you should follow in the world of machine learning, that we will see first. We are doing this workshop in association with Keyway Research, where we are providing all type of facility to the upcoming generation in terms of internship, projects, workshop, or laboratory establishment. Now, I want to give one guideline to all the participants, those who are aiming to get a job in future in the world of artificial intelligence and machine learning. Actually, whenever you are planning to get a job, so first of all, we are learning that skills of the technology of the machine learning world and data science world. So there are three types of process in the market. First is learning the concept. If we have decided that we want to learn data science, machine learning, and AI, so first we are going to learn that technology via any platform. Via it is a workshop platform, via it is an online certification platform, via you are doing the degree in that course. So learning may be anything. So first learn that technology, and after that you want to update your profile by solving the so many projects and all. On that basis, I am having one very smart guideline. I have observed that many participants are doing the wrong approach. You should be learning for learning. I have observed many candidates in the market are following the wrong approach of learning. How they are expecting to learn any technology within 1 day and 2 day, or during the 2 hours or 3 hours of session, and they are learning this technology any online class, workshop, and seminar or certification course on platform. And just on the basis of 2 hours of watching the video, directly they are thinking to do a rocket science project on technology. And on the basis of the project, they are not knowing anything what is going inside the project, and they are of learning any technology and keeping the expectation that I can learn the any algorithm within 2 hours of duration of time. That is wrong thinking. Don't approach by this thinking. I am giving you the right direction. Always remember one thing. I have observed many candidates that just on the basis of this 1 day, 2 day, or 3 day hours of 3 day of learning method, they are doing the rocket science project. They are taking the project for the job, which is much more deeper. What to do? You have to first right approach is that you want to learn
Sir, screen share has stopped, sir. Hello, Arpit sir. Hello,
Hello.
Arpit sir.
Yeah, sir. Yeah,
Screen
I got
share has stopped,
disconnected
sir.
somewhere.
Ah, yes. Now it is coming.
Now,
Your
sorry.
voice is
I don't know why suddenly I got disconnected. Hello.
breaking, sir.
Yeah, sir. Yeah, now my voice is audible, sir.
Ah, yes,
Hello.
sir. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So I was giving the right approach direction to the candidate. What is the right approach? Right approach is just learn the basic of any topic first. Learn the basic, what this topic is about and how that topic is working. After that, try to understand the mathematics behind that algorithm. Once you are having the confidence of basic of that topic and mathematically how that algorithm is working, then do a baby step project. Don't directly approach for the rocket science project. Do baby step project related to that algorithm and that topic, and understand mathematically how you are working that project. And once you are clear with this idea, then you are having the confidence, then you can go for taking the internship or some case studies and do some projects on that and update your profile. So this is the right approach. Always just keep an expectation to understand the basic of that topic. Either it will take 7 days, 14 days, or 1 month, but understand the basic terminology of that topic, then understand the mathematics behind that algorithm, then do the baby step project, and then go ahead. So that should be your planning. Then you can hit your target. You will surely get a success in that. Now, today, our main approach is that we are going to learn one algorithm in machine learning topic, and that algorithm name is support vector machine. And before that, whatever I said that quality learning will give the quality profit. Always remember. Because in the machine learning, it is said that quality of input decide quality of output. Whenever we are giving any data to machine learning to learn, if we are giving the quality data to learn, machine learning will going to learn quality and it will give the quality output. Always remember that. So quality learning will give the quality profit, and it is applicable for you also in this right approach process. Learn any concept in the quality way, understand the mathematics behind it, and then approach for the job. So in this way, we have to make a planning for learning. And today our topic is the support vector machine, which is one of the supervised machine learning algorithm. So today our intention is that, as I already told you, that if suppose I am teaching you SVM today of 2 hours of class, so it does not mean that in 2 hours of class you will understand the SVM and after that you are going to make a rocket science project. Today our approach will be, what do you mean by SVM exactly? Okay, why the definition has been given SVM? What basic terminologies are available in SVM, and what kind of mathematics is involved in the SVM. So today our main is introduction to SVM, and after that we are going to one project today and understand that how the company is working on any project. So in this our SVM seminar today, we are going to learn what is the machine learning which we have already learned. Then today we are going to see what do by support vector machine. In the support vector machine, what are the different terminologies we are using: support vector, margin, hyperplane, and so on. What are the types of support vector machine? What is the non-linear concept? How support vector machine is working? What do you mean by the kernels of support vector machine? Advantage and disadvantage, and finally we will going to see one case study on support vector machine. So let's understand the overall concept of the support vector machine in the most easy way. We have gone through the definition of machine learning from the last 2 days, which is very clear. Machine learning is nothing but it is a concept where machine is learning from the past data, and after machine learned from the past data, that means machine is trained now, then machine is ready for prediction. That is the field of machine learning. That means if you see the many definition, theoretical definition also, it says that machine learning is the field of study where it gives the computer the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. What do you mean by without being explicitly programmed? Once you have given the data to machine, machine will learn from that data. And in that data, input and output, both data you are giving. And machine is learning from that. After learning, machine will give the output, that is called as model, and that is a program. Without being any programming, machine is learning and giving the output. So that is the concept of machine learning we have already learned. And we came to know that there are 4 types of machine learning: supervision, reinforcement, and semi-supervised. And we have gone through the definition of also. Supervised means what? The supervised learning, someone is there to train you. In terms of data, labeled data is available in supervised learning, and labeled data indirectly means if we are having the data available, then output is present in that data. That is a supervised learning. Unsupervised learning means what? There is no output present in your data. Machine is learning from the data itself, and they are making the cluster from that. That is unsupervised learning. Semi-supervised is the combination of supervised and unsupervised learning. And reinforcement means agent environment learning. Agent is learning from the environment. After learning from the environment, agent will take some decision. If the decision is correct, agent will be rewarded. If the decision is wrong, agent will be punished. That is a reinforcement learning. So we have gone through overall process in which today our main focus will be supervised learning. What do you mean by supervised learning? It is a technique where machine is learning from the labeled data. I already said what do you mean by labeled data? The data in which output is available. And machine is learning from that input and output mapping concept. And after learning, machine will provide the output, that is called as model. So in this diagram, we want to predict that fruit is apple or not. So what we are doing, we are giving the input image of apple, and we are writing that this image is of apple. That is output. And then machine is learning that yes, this image is of apple, and after that, for the prediction, when we will give the apple image, machine will say that this is apple. This is a supervised learning. We have learned this concept already. And we came to know that there are 2 types of supervised learning: classification and regression. If your output data in your past data, if the output is in continuous in nature, then that is called as a regression type of problem. And if your output is discrete in nature, then that is called as a classification type problem. So what type of algorithm we are working in regression? These all are the algorithm. And if you can notice this third algorithm, in this many algorithms are there, 8 algorithms are there. If you notice that third algorithm, it is written there support vector regression. So today we are going to learn the support vector machine, which is used in the regression analysis also and classification also. So in this slide, 8 algorithms are mentioned under the regression analysis, where third name is a support vector regression. So support vector machine is used in the supervised learning under regression analysis also, and finally classification also. Classification when we are having the past data available and the past data nature is discrete in nature, we are deciding classification algorithm. So there are various classification algorithm available in the market, and support vector machine is one of. Support vector machine is one of, which is used in relation analysis also and classification analysis also. But majority time support vector machine is used for classification analysis. Always remember, support vector machine is used for classification analysis. So today our main focus is for support vector machine, which is used for both regression and classification. Regression analysis means what? In which output is continuous quantity. Output available in your data, which is continuous in nature, and classification means what? Output is a categorical, that is discrete in nature, that is classification. Let's start today. Actually, what do you mean by the support vector machine? As I said, main problem of support vector machine is for classification problem. That means classification algorithm. So main meaning of support vector machine, we will go and learn today what actually support vector machine is doing. So support vector machine is a technique which is used to separate the data set. Your data set is having the output, and in the output there are so many classes available. You need to do a classification of that. Support machine is a technique which is to separate data set into categories, which tries to maximize the gap between the two categories. What do you mean by that? Whenever we are having the output available in terms of yes no, for example, that is discrete in nature, and you are having 500 column, sorry, 500 rows, and in that 500 rows you want to separate your data set in such a way that suppose 300 rows is having yes as a output and 200 rows is having no as a output. So support vector machine main intention is that to separate that 300 rows and 200 rows very efficiently. That is the meaning of support vector machine. Support vector machine is used to separate the data set of both the category in such a way that both the category distance is maximized. There is a huge gap between both the category. That is the main intention of support vector machine. And that gap is called as a margin. That gap is called as a margin. Now let's understand the overall meaning of support vector machine again in the most easy way. This is the main objective of support vector machine. Again, I am repeating, to separate your data set into two categories. One category of yes class, for example, and one category of no class. Okay. And we want to maximize the distance between yes and no category. That is the support vector machine. And that gap is called as a margin. So it indicates that support vector machine actually first introduced to the world in the year 1960. Then lots of modification has been made and it is improvised in the year 1990. So support vector machine is a technique which is used for both classification and regression problem and outlier detection. But mostly, as I said, support vector machine is used for classification problem. Classification problem is what? Where the output is discrete in nature. So at that point, support vector machine is giving the good analysis. So this is the basics of support vector machine, which is introduced in the year of 1960. Then lots of modification has been done, and in 1990 it has been improvised. And where support vector machine is used in the regression and classification analysis both, but majority time classification analysis. After that, support vector machine is capable of solving both type of problem. If your data set is linearly separable or non-linearly separable. Support vector machine is used to separate your data set if the data set is linearly separable data set, or if your data set is non-linearly separable data set. So support vector machine is used to separate in most efficient way. That is the two categories support vector machine has to separate. On the left hand side image, you observe the separable data. That is green dots are different and blue dots are different. That is linearly separable data. On the right hand side, again, you are observing the green dot and blue dot, but it is a mixture. We cannot separate this data linearly. That means by single line, two data set are not separated on the right hand side. So, but support vector machine is having the certain techniques which is separating the both linearly separable data and non-linearly separable data in the most efficient way. How? That we are going to see today. Which are the method that we are separating the linear data and we are separating the non-linear data, that we are going to observe in the most efficient way. So support vector machine can solve both kind of problem. After that, in the many data analysis problem, when we come across the situation where we need to classify the data, as I said right now, support vector machine is used for classification problem. So there are so many problem statement in the market. For example, if you want to detect the cancer, patient is having cancer or not, yes or no. Suppose you want to detect that whether we should loan some customer, the new customer is approaching to the bank and bank has to approve the loan or not, yes or no. So where we want to classify our data, at that time there are classification algorithms are available. Many classification algorithms are available: logistic regression, support vector machine, random forest, KNN, and so on. But support vector machine is one of them, which is basically separating the two classes in most efficient way. And that gap in both the data set, the blue color square, please observe this diagram on the left hand side diagram. In the left hand side diagram, the blue color square dot, which is nearer to the circular, the dot which is nearer to the circle dot, that is another class, that is a support vector. Another thing, on the left hand side diagram only, the dot which is mentioned in the circle, which is nearer to the blue color, just a second, I will try to show you, which is present in the circle, this one, this circle which is nearer from this data point, this is support vector. First of all, we are trying to learn what do you mean by support vector. We are having this data set, we are having this data set. So observe this blue color square, this blue color square which is very nearer from this data set, this blue color, then this is the support vector. Observe this circle, this circle is very nearer from this data set, from this data set. So this is called as a support vector. So now go to the definition. What do you mean by support vector? Support vector are the data point, that means this data point which are closest to the hyperplane, which are closest to the hyperplane. This is the hyperplane, this line which is separating the both the data, that is a hyperplane. And this dotted line and this dotted line, the distance between these two dotted line is called as a margin, is called as a margin. Now let's understand again more. Support vector machine three word, which is more in the support vector machine. Support vector is one word, hyperplane is one. Support vector is what? The data points which are closest to the hyperplane. Hyperplane means what? It is a one line which is separating the two data set. And margin means what? It is a distance between the two data set after separation. That is a margin. Now let's support data points which are measures hyperplane. In this diagram, we have observed what do you mean by the support vector. After that, we draw on hyperplane. Now, in this hyperplane, there are again many possibilities are there. Whenever we are having the data set available, that is linearly separable data, we can separate that linearly data in single line. There are many lines possible here. We can draw main line here, infinite line, which is separating both the data. But we want only one line, that is a best possible line, that is hyperplane, which is separating the data in the most maximum way. That hyperplane will be selected. Always remember, infinite hyperplane is possible in our data set, which is separating our data set into two categories. But select those hyperplane or those line which is separating our data set in maximum way, that is in the maximum margin way. That hyperplane will be selected. So if anyone asks you what do you mean by hyperplane, hyperplane is the method or a line or a plane which is separating our two data. That is hyperplane. So support vector machine is the closest data point. Hyper is the distant boundary which is differentiating our two classes very well. That is hyperplane. And in this hyperplane, you can observe we are selecting those hyperplane only, those who are separating the data in the two classes in the most efficient way. That is the distance between that two classes is maximum. That is a hyperplane. Okay, that is a hyperplane. So in the hyperplane, our main objective is to find the optimal hyperplane which gives the maximum margin, which give maximum margin. Now how to select the hyperplane and how to go ahead with the overall process, let's check it. In the optimal hyperplane process, whenever we are separating the data, your main objective is to separate the two data set with the maximum margin. That type of plane is called as the maximum hyperplane. And after that, what hyperplane and how you are selecting the hyperplane. So this is the main concept of hyperplane. Very important. Please note down in your notepad. Hyperplane means what? In the hyperplane, the dimension of your hyperplane totally depend on number of features present in the data set. Features means column. Features means column. The dimension of your hyperplane depend on the features of your data set. If you are having the two features, then hyperplane will be a straight line. I will be explaining with the help of this diagram. If you are having only one features, then hyperplane will be a point, single point. This is the hyperplane, which is separating this line in left hand side and right hand side way. If your hyperplane is of having two features, that is x-axis and y-axis, then hyperplane is one single line. This is a line. If you are having two features in your data set, then we are observing the graph x-axis and y-axis, that is two features, then your hyperplane will be a line. If your hyperplane is a three-dimensional x, y, z, then if your data set is having the three features, so we are drawing the three-dimension plane, then hyperplane will be a two-dimension. So hyperplane totally depend on number of features in the data. If number of features in the data is 2, then hyperplane is a point. This is the point of hyperplane. If the number of dimension in your data set is 2, that is number of features, then hyperplane will be a single line. And if your number of features are 3 in the data set, that is a 3D plane, then hyperplane will be a two-dimension plane. So hyperplane is nothing but it is a boundary, decision boundary, which is separating the two classes in the most efficient way. That is the hyperplane. So this is the process of hyperplane we are deciding in the company. Here we can observe the in the left hand diagram we are having the process of two features. Two features we are having. So hyperplane is a line. Here the features are three dimensions. So hyperplane is a 2D plane. So in this way, hyperplane is decided in the support vector machine. Hyperplane is nothing but it is a one decision boundary. So remember that process. So this word is going to encounter with you when you are learning the support vector machine. And finally, margin. Margin is nothing but the distance between the two support vector after classifying the two data set with the help of margin. And the goal of SVM
Hello, Arpit sir. Hello.
Sir, Arpit sir.
after this the support vector.
Sir, your voice
Sir,
is
Arpit
breaking,
sir.
sir.
Hello.
Sir, your
Yeah.
voice is breaking, sir.
Okay, sir. From my end, my connectivity is good, sir. Hello.
Okay, hello.
Yeah. Now my voice is audible.
Somewhat breaking, sir. In between some words, voice is breaking.
Okay. Give me a second. I will check my
Okay.
mic again. Just a second.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Hello. Now please let me know my voice is audible clearly.
Yes,
Please
sir.
let me know.
Yes, sir. It is audible now.
Oh, okay. Just give me a second. I am explaining the topic again.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. See, basic concept is very important. All the participant, again, I am repeating the concept. In the support vector machine, we are having the 3 points. This is support vector. One is hyperplane, one is margin. Whenever we are having data set, we want to separate the data set. In the data set, we are having the data points. Always remember data point. These are the data points. We are having the data set, and this is of one class. This data set is of one class. This data set of another class. Okay. So in this data set, this all point, blue color point, this is called as a data point. Here all circle is also called as a data points. So what we are doing, we are observing such a point which is nearer to the other class. From this class, which square is very nearer from this circular class? So this square. We have identified this is that square which is nearer from the circular class. Similarly, you have identified which circle which is nearer to from this class. So this is that circle. This is that circle which is nearer from this square dot. So these 2 points, this one square dot and this one circular dot is called as a support vector. These are the two support vector present in the data set. And from that support vector, we are drawing one line. From this square dot, draw one line. And from this support, this circle, draw one line. We are drawing this line right now. So this is
Hello, Arpit sir.
and what do you mean by hyperplane? I already told you. The middle line is called as the hyperplane, which is separating the data. Hyperplane is called as the decision boundary, which is separating the data with the help of boundary. Now the rules for hyperplane is that this is the rule for hyperplane. Hyperplane is totally depend on number of features present in your data point. If in your data set there is only one features, then your hyperplane is a single line, single point. If in your data set there are two features present, then your hyperplane is a single line, single line. If in your data set there are three features, then 3D plane is available, then hyperplane is a 2D plane. So hyperplane totally depend on the features of the data set. This is a rule of hyperplane. So in the single word, hyperplane is decision boundary which is separating the two data set. That is the hyperplane. And after that, margin concept. What do you mean by margin? I already explained margin is nothing but it is the distance between the two support vectors. This is one support vector, this is other support vector. Same thing. This is one type of data set, this is another kind of data point. So in this data point, you want to observe one data point which is nearer from this data class. So this is the square which is nearer from this data class. Similarly, from this data point, you want to observe one data point which is nearer from this class. So this is that circle which is nearer from this class. So draw a line from that support vector. From both support vector, we are drawing one line, and then we are drawing the hyperplane. This is the solid line, middle line is the hyperplane, and the distance between these two is called a margin. And we are selecting only those margin, those who are having the maximum distance. So that is called as a margin. So always remember one thing, whenever we are separating the linear data means what? A data which is separated by just a single line in the two different classes, that is a linear data. So whenever we are separating the linear data, that kind of margin is called as a hard margin. Always remember, whenever we are separating the data, that kind of margin is called as a hard margin. And we are separating the two classes, that is called as a classification. So that is the objective of margin. Select minimum gap, priority should be given to that. And it is automatically done with the help of algorithm. Whenever we are applying the support vector algorithm, your software package is doing this all activity behind the scene mathematically. But as an engineer, as a data scientist, we should know mathematically what is happening behind the scene. That is our main objective of support vector machine. So after knowing the concept of this margin, we are having two types of margin. One is called a good margin and another is called as a bad margin. I already explained what do you mean by good margin. The margin which is separating the two data point in the most efficient way, that is maximum distance. And each data points are equidistant from the margin. So this is the good margin. What do you mean by bad margin? In the bad margin, data points are not equidistant. That is called as a bad margin. So margin is of two categories, good margin and bad margin. Good margin is the margin which is separating the data point in most efficient way. All the data support vectors are equidistant from that. And the bad margin in which support vectors are not equidistant. It is separating the data, but support vectors are not equidistant. That is a bad margin. So this is the process of margin. Then hard margin, we have learned already. In the linearly separated data, margin is called as the hard margin. Now let's see, this is a non-linear separate data, non-linear. When the data set is non-linearly separable, that means by drawing a single line, we cannot separate the data linearly. That kind of data is called as a non-linear separable data. And in that data set, suppose if you are drawing margin, in that data set, suppose we are drawing margin, see the right hand side diagram, we are having the green point and red point. And if you are drawing this hyperplane, that is a solid line. So you can observe one red dot is present on the green side and the two green dot is present on the red side. Okay, so this is a non-linear separable data. And in the non-linear separable data, when you are drawing the margin, that kind of margin is called as a soft margin. So remember, just please note down. It will be a very hard to understand this overall concept within 1 hour. Whatever the point I am mentioning, please note down in the notepad. What do you mean by hard margin? The margin which is available for linear data set, that is separating the linear data set, that is a hard margin. What do you mean by soft margin? Whenever the data set is non-linearly separable, and then also you are separating the data with the help of soft margin, that kind of problem is called as a soft margin problem. So non-linear data, if you are drawing margin, it is a soft margin. Linear data, if you are drawing the margin, hard margin. So that is the concept of hard margin and soft margin. In the soft margin is used for non-linearly data, and hard margin is used for linearly separable data. So that is the concept. Now in the support vector machine, whenever the data set is linearly separable, we are using the maximum margin concept. Now what if, how to separate the non-linear data? So at that time, support vector classifier and support vector machine is very useful for separating the non-linear data set. Whenever the data set is linearly separable, we are using the maximum margin classifier. Right now I explain you. And whenever the data set is non-linearly separable, at that time we are using the support vector classifier and support vector machine. And when the data set is non-linearly separable, we are having two options. Note down. I am giving very important guidance. Please note down. Whenever the data set is non-linearly separable, we are having two options. First option is use soft margin. And the second option is use kernel method. What do you mean by soft margin and kernel method? I am just going to explain you right away. So whenever the data set is linearly separable, that is called as a linear SVM. And whenever the data set is non-linear separable, that is called as a non-linear SVM. So in the linear SVM, this is a linear data set. That means we can separate data set by drawing one line. Just see the motivation. I am having here two lines. As I said, infinite line is possible in order to separate the data. Infinite line. But we are selecting finally only one line. Those one line, those who are separating the two data point in the most efficient way. Okay. Those who are separating the data set in the most efficient way. So infinite line is possible to separate this green dot and blue dot, but we are getting only one point or one line which is separating the data point in most efficient way. Here two lines are available. Now just by viewing these two lines, which line is the best line? By observing this graph, the green line is the baseline which is separating the data in the most efficient way. So our burning question is how we are identifying the right hyperplane. So in that previous data point, there are two hyperplane. We are selecting the green hyperplane which are separating the data point in the most efficient way. After that, same thing, there are three hyperplane. A hyperplane, B hyperplane, C hyperplane. And the data set is linearly separable. That B is the hyperplane which is separating these two data point in linear way. So we are going to select B hyperplane. So that is the best possibility. We are going to select the B hyperplane which is separating this dot and this dot in the most efficient way. Similarly, in this diagram, we are having the three hyperplane A, B, C. We are having the three hyperplane A, B, C. Out of that, which is the best hyperplane? So by viewing this diagram, C is the hyperplane, which is the best hyperplane because C is separating this red dot and blue dot in the most efficient way. That is the process. So hyperplane should be selected, which is having the maximum margin. So C is the best hyperplane in this diagram, which is having the good margin. After that, same in this case, which hyperplane we are going to select, A or B? If we are selecting the A hyperplane, then we are separating both the data in the linear way. And if we are selecting the B hyperplane, then one blue dot is misclassified. Observe in the graph. If we are selecting B hyperplane, then this blue dot is coming in the red direction. And if we are selecting A hyperplane, that is separating the blue dot and red dot in the efficient way. So in this two hyperplane, we are going to select A hyperplane, which is separating the linear data. So in this case, if we are getting such kind of problem where it is not possible to separate this blue dot and red dot linearly because one blue dot is available here. So at that time, what is the solution? When the data set is non-linear, what is the solution? Then two solution. I already explained. Then two solution. One is use the soft margin, and another is to use the kernel. So what do you mean by soft margin? This is called as a soft margin. In the short margin, whenever we are separating the non-linear data, so we are allowing some misclassification. We are allowing some misclassification. And second is the kernel technique. Kernel technique is the most important technique in the world of support vector machine. Here is now another point to note down here. Whenever the data set is non-linear separated data, we are giving the priority to kernel. What do you mean by kernel? I will let you know. For just sake of information, when the data set is non-linear separable, use the two process. One is short margin and one another kernel technique. So kernel technique is used mostly. So what do you mean by kernel technique? In the short margin, when the data points are non-linearly separable, this middle point. In this middle point, you can observe one red dot. This is a red dot green. Later diagram is linearly separable. We have already learned. Middle diagram is non-linearly separable, where one red dot is available. Okay, one red dot is available in green dot. If I am drawing the one line between these two data, that will be called as a hyperplane. And hyperplane is separating this green dot so that one red dot is classified. That is, it is available in the green point. And if you are allowing such kind of hyperplane or margin, that kind of margin is a short margin where
Sir,
Maybe disconnected, sir.
Arpit sir, disconnected.
Yes.
All of you, please wait for 2 more minutes. Again, Arpit sir will connect. Yes, sir is back again.
Yes, sir.
Arpit sir, hello. Yes. Hello. Arpit sir.
hello sir, my voice is audible now?
Yes, sir. Now it is audible.
Somewhat breaking, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Sorry, I got I got disconnected suddenly. Don't know what is happening today. I don't know.
Yes, sir. Voice also
Now my
sometimes it
voice
is
is clear.
breaking, sir. Now it is audible, but sometimes voice is breaking, sir.
Don't
Today.
know, sir. What?
Okay.
Okay. Don't know, sir. What is happening? I don't know what is happening.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm continuing, sir. I'm continuing.
Okay.
Yeah. So remember all the participant. Yeah. To understand the SVM within 1 hour is not possible, but please note down whatever point I am mentioning. Please note down that whenever the data set is non-linear separable, we are using the short margin and kernel. First method is called as a short margin, where we are allowing the misclassification. Here is the non-linear data set where one red point is available in green point. If I am drawing one line that is hyperplane in such a way that we are allowing this red point in the green side, that is a misclassification. Then it is called as a short margin. But if you want to separate this data set in the linear way, non-linear data in the linear way, at that time we are using the kernel trick. At that time we are using the kernel trick. So remember guys, always short margin and kernel is the method to separate non-linear separable data. Just keep in mind. After that, short margin, which is already I said, it is allowing the misclassification. Then after I'm going for that kernel directly. This is all non-linear separable data. Just a second, I'm coming to this point. This is a non-linear separable data where it is not possible to separate the data linearly. So at that time, we are using the kernel technique. What do you mean by kernel technique? What kernel technique is doing? They are transforming this data into higher dimension. This is a two-dimension diagram. This is a two-dimension diagram X and Y. And if we are using the kernel technique, then it is converting this data point into higher dimension. Always remember one thing, note down in your notepad, kernel means what? Kernel is a technique which is transforming your data into higher dimension, lower dimension to higher dimension. So this is a kernel technique where we are transforming X and Y into higher dimension by doing X square plus Y square. In the previous diagram, this is XY. In this diagram, we are transforming the XY into X square plus Y after transforming, your data set will look like this. Your data set will look like this. And now you are going to separate the data linearly with the help of kernel method. First, kernel method is transforming your lower dimension data to higher dimension data. And in the higher dimension, your data set is linearly separable. Please note down carefully. Kernel technique is used to separate the non-linear data in the linear way. How? They are transforming from lower dimension to higher dimension, and in the higher dimension your data set is linearly separated. Now in this diagram our data set is linearly separated, and finally we are observing this diagram like this. So in this way we are separating the circle and the blue color dot with the help of kernel technique. That is a non-linear SVM. So kernel technique is mostly useful, and in our SVM algorithm we are having the three types of kernel. Kernel main objective is to convert low dimension data to high dimensional data. This is the kernel objective. And there are three types of kernel we are using in our SVM. These are the three kernel: linear kernel, polynomial kernel, and RBF kernel. Please note down: linear kernel, polynomial kernel, and RBF kernel. These three kernel we are using in the support vector machine depending on your data set, and major objective of the kernel is to separate the nonlinear data. How they are separating the nonlinear data? By converting the lower dimension data into higher dimension data, and into the higher dimension data your data set is linearly separated. So this is the objective of linear, polynomial, and RBF kernel. So this is the SVM, and all this whatever I'm talking, that they are converting the low dimension into high dimension. This is all mathematics, very high end mathematics of SPM. And how that mathematics look like? This is the mathematics of linear kernel, where this equation is nothing but the normal dot product between the two observations. Okay, so to understand this mathematics it will take so much time. Just for the sake of information I am showing this slide. In the linear kernel, this is the mathematics behind the picture. In the polynomial kernel, this is the mathematics behind the picture, where we are adding one constant and we are having the degree of kernel here. We are having the degree of kernel. This is mathematics. I am not going into the mathematics. This is not the objective of today's webinar, because to understand the SVM mathematics, it will take minimum 7 days to 15 days just to understand basic concept. But please note down: linear kernel, polynomial kernel mathematics we have to read in future. After that, same thing, RBF kernel mathematics. This is the RBF kernel. In the RBF kernel also, we are transforming the data from the lower dimension to higher dimension, and in the higher dimension we are separating the data. Okay, so this is the process of support vector machine. In the support vector machine, what we are doing, we are having the hard margin and soft margin concept. Hard margin and soft margin concept means what? When the data is linearly separable, at that time use the hard margin. Okay, when the data set is linearly separable, just a second, I am coming to that point. When the data set is linearly separable, use hard margin. The data set is linearly separable, use soft margin or kernel. And majority of the problem statement in the society is of linear separable data. There are three points for the kernel method. Always remember, focus on kernel method in SVM algorithm. So that is the process. So this is the basic objective of SVM. What you have to read in SVM? Just in SVM, focus on the many parameters. What are those parameters? What do you mean by support vector? What do you mean by margin? What do you mean by hyperplane? What do you mean by hard margin? What do you mean by soft margin? What do you mean by non-linear separable data? What do you mean by kernel? Whatever the point I am saying you, please note down. These all are the main point of support vector machine. Okay. And after knowing this all point, whenever we are learning the support vector machine in the most efficient way, okay, mathematically, again I am saying I haven't taught you mathematics of support vector machine today. Not possible. Okay, so just I am showing you the direction roadmap of support vector machine, how support vector machine is working in the company, what is the objective. Objective is very clear: separate the data set in such a way that the distance between both the data set is maximum. That is the objective of support vector machine. And how we are separating? With the help of mathematics. Now when the data set is linear, we are separating with the help of hard margin. Data set is non-linear, separate the data with the help of soft margin and kernel. That is the SVM. Okay. Now today what we are going to do, we are going to perform one practical with the help of this concept in the support vector machine, and that practical is called as, we are going to identify movie classification. This is our case study today. We are going to predict movie award prediction. Given a detail of movie is given to us, past data is given to us, and we have to predict that which movie will get the award or which movie will not get the award. This is a case study today we are going to learn with the help of support vector machine. Okay, so this is our case study today, movie award prediction. Now let's see this case study practically. How we are going to do this case study practically. We are having one data set available with us. Our objective of the today's project is movie award prediction. We are having the data set given to us, and we have to observe that data. And by observing that data, we have to apply the algorithm. And which algorithm, what is the nature of that data, we will see step by step. So, this is our problem statement. On the basis of this problem statement, we will decide which kind of problem we are going to apply. Now, let's see step by step this project in the most clear way. I already said you, when we are going to enter in the world of machine learning, we should have the knowledge of data science. So these all libraries of data science, we are using the data science libraries in order to clean the data. Okay, in order to clean the data. So this is import numpy as np, import pandas as pd, import cbor and matplotlib. So this first library, import numpy as np, this is the library used for array operation. Whenever in our data set we are performing some mathematics in the array, then numpy library is used. This is the library, panda library, import pandas as pd. This is the library which is used for data manipulation in the data frame. What do you mean by data frame? Whenever we are having the data available in the rows and column, that is called as a pandas library. Seaborn and Matplotlib is the data visualization library. Seaborn and Matplotlib is the data visualization library. So just execute this cell. After executing this cell, we have imported all those library. Now we are going to read the data set. That is called as a movie classification data set. This data set is available in CSV format, comma separated value. Okay, so we are reading this data set with the help of Panda library, and writing this instruction pd.read_csv. So what this library will do, pd.read_csv is going to read this file, and here header equal to 0 means in our data set columns are present. In our data set columns are present. So 0th number row is given to our header, that is column. So that's why we are writing header is equal to 0. So after using this instruction pd.read_csv, we are reading our data set and we are giving to the variable df. That is also called as a data frame. Now let's execute that. After executing this line, our overall data frame is available in this variable df. Always remember, whenever we are learning any language and we are using single is equal to sign, this single is equal to sign is called as the assignment operator. Assignment operator main property is that whatever present on the right hand side, evaluate that and give that to the left hand side. So this is the assignment operator. What the assignment operator is doing, on the right hand side it is reading the movie classification file, and after reading that file it is giving to the df, that is a data frame. So after reading the data frame, we will check it. Pwd is the instruction which will tell the path of your current file. Whenever we are executing pwd, so it will give the path where this file is located. So after executing, I came to know that my file is located in the C directory, users folder, HP folder, desktop, and so on. So by the instruction pwd, you can check your file location. Now, after reading the data set, if you want to see your data set, so we can observe our data set with the help of this method called df.head. And by default, this method will give the first 5 row of your data set. Whenever you are reading the data set, and if you are reading the data set, if you want to observe, so we are using this method df.head. df.head objective is that we are reading the first 5 row of your data set. So just execute this. After executing, we are having our data set, the data which is available in this file, that is movies_classification.csv. So this is our data in this file. Now you can observe the data. We are having the past data. This is the past data. In this past data, we are having this all columns: marketing space, production space, what is the budget of that movie, what is movie length, lead actress rating, lead actor rating, director rating. All information is given to us. And finally, we are having this output column present in our data set. Output column name is Start Tech Oscar. Output column is Start Tech Oscar. This is the past data given to us. In the past data, all the information of movie is given to us. If this is the information, that movie has won the award. That's why 1 is written in the output column. 1 is written in the output column. If this is the information of movie, then 0. That means that movie has not won the award. So wherever 1 is written in the data set, that movie has won the award. And whenever 0 is written in the data set in the output column, that movie has not won the award. So this is the past data set given to us. So from this past data set, we have to learn which movie has got the award and which movie has not got the award. So machine is going to learn from the past data. Okay, so this is the data set given to us. And if you want to read the first 10 row of your data set, what if you want to read the first 10 rows of your data set, just write down here 10. Whenever you are writing here 10, then after shift plus enter, so first 10 rows of the data set is read. So df.head method is used to read the first 10 rows, first 20 rows, depending on your situation and need. And if you are not writing any number, so by default, it is going to read the first 5 rows. Okay. Similarly, if you want to read the last 10 rows of your data set, use this method, df.tail. So df.tail method is used in order to read the last 10 rows of your data set, because here 10 is written. If you will not write anything here, so by default, last 5 rows has been read. Last 5 rows. So this is the last 5 rows of your data set. So df.tail method is used in order to read the last 5 rows of your data set. So in this way, we are reading the first 5 row, first 10 row, or last 5 row or last 10 row with the help of df.head and df.tail method. Now, if you want to check how many rows and column is present in your data set, then we are using this method, df.shape. So df.shape method is giving the total number of rows and column present inside your data set. Just execute this. After executing that, we came to know there are 506 rows and 19 columns are present in our data set. 506 rows and 19 columns. Now, if you want to check the name of column, only the name of column present in your data set, write down this instruction df.columns. df.column, after executing, this answer is all column name. That means the result of this instruction is all column name. This is all the column name which is present in our data set. After that, if you want to check the data type of your column, then use this instruction, df.dtypes. After executing this instruction, we came to know our column data type. We are having the marketing expense name as a column, and the data available in that column is float. Now let's check it. Let's check it that we are having the marketing expense. This is a marketing expense column. In this column, we are having all the data, which is a floating data. That means the decimal points are present. So this is a floating data. So in this way, we can check the data type of our data set with the help of df.dtype method. After that process, if you want to check the information of all column in such a way, that we are using the df.info. What is that information? I will let you know. First, just execute this instruction df.info. The information of your data frame is appear in such a way that we are having the column name, total number of value present in that column, and the data type of that column. Why this information is used, I will let you know what is the objective of this instruction. So we are having 19 column total. So here the name of all column is written from 0 to 18. Just a second, I will show. See here, 0 to 18. 0 to 18 means total 19 column. The name of all 19 column is given here. And in this number of values associated in that column, it is given. So 506 is total number of rows. So in this column, there are 506 value. And the data type of that column is float. Right now only we have observed that. So this column is having 506 entries, and this is the data type. So by observing the overall process, we came to know that one column is present, which is having only 494 entry. one column is present in our data set which is having only 494 entries in that column, and all column is having the 506 entry. It indicate that in this column missing values are present. This column missing values are present. This is the induction, or this is the reflection by using the df.info method. So df helping to know the name of column, number of entries in that column, and what is the data type of that column. And by doing this process, we came to know that which column is having the missing value. So we came to know that this column is having missing value. So just for the sake of information, we came to know that in our data set, time underscore taken column is in the missing value. Okay. Now let's see after that what we are doing with that missing value. Now this method, df.describe method, is called as the mathematical analysis. That is called as the descriptive statistics. Note down here, all the participant, one statement please note down in your notepad. Whenever we are learning the machine learning and we are learning the mathematics, so we are learning statistics. So in the statistics, there are two types. One is called as the descriptive statistics and one is called as the inferential statistics. So descriptive statistics and inferential statistics is very important. So this information, this instruction df.describe is giving you the descriptive analysis of your data. What do you mean by descriptive analysis of your data? Descriptive analysis means it is giving the information or describing the data. Describing the data means what? I will explain you after executing this instruction. Let's execute this instruction. Now we are having the descriptive analysis information available here. Descriptive analysis is giving the information of all numerical column. In your data set, the column which is numerical in nature, that numerical nature data is available. All column which is numerical in nature, so that information is available here. And what kind of information? This kind of information. What is the total number of value in that column? In the market expense column, total number of value is 506. What is the mean of that column? So mean of market expense column means what? Average value. So average value of our marketing expense column is 92. This is the average value. What is the standard deviation of that column? This is the standard deviation. 1 is the standard deviation. What is the minimum value of that column? 20 is the minimum value. What is the maximum value of that column? 1799 is the maximum value. So this is called as a descriptive analysis, where we are describing the data. Where we are describing it. 25%. Meaning of that, in your data set, 25% of the data is 21.64. 25% of data is below 21.64. This is the analysis. So like that, we are doing the descriptive analysis of all numerical column. All numerical column. This all information is available. There is a high-end mathematics here. That's what I am giving you the guidance. Please learn the mathematics because everything is the mathematics in the data. Okay. So this is the descriptive analysis which is describing the data. Describing the data means what? What is the minimum value of the data? What is the average value of the data of each column? What is the standard deviation? What is the maximum value? This is the descriptive analysis. And we can observe this descriptive analysis. And we came to know here distribution also. If you will go and learn mathematics, you will learn the distribution of data set. If your mean value and median value and mode value is same, then data is normally distributed. Always remember. And by this mean value is the 92, that is the average value. And here 50% is your median value, 92 and 25. So you can say your data set is not normally distributed. Your data set is not normally distributed. Whatever term I am using, if the fresher candidate and anyone is not understanding, so I am using the mathematical term. So please understand that to learn the machine learning, mathematics is very important. So after knowing this descriptive analysis, as I said that we are going to check that in our data set, missing information is available or not. So we can know in the previous analysis, one column is in the mean value. So let's check the missing value is present in their data set or not with the help of this instruction. df is not execute instruction. By executing, you will get this answer. Wherever false is written, it indicates that there is no information at that point. And if you will find true anywhere written true, so their missing information is available. So according to our analysis, missing information is available in this time underscore taken. Missing information is available in the column time underscore taken. There are 12 missing value here, that there 2 will return. Now let's check it with the other instruction, that how many missing information is available. So we are using this instruction. df dot is not execution. We are getting the information how missing values are present in all. We are getting the information that how many missing information is present in a column. If I will execute this code, so we are having the information. These are all the name of column, and these are the total number of missing value. So see here, observe time underscore taken column. Time underscore taken column is having the 12 missing values. Is having the 12 missing values. We already observed in the previous information, that is df.info, where 494 entries are available in time underscore taken, and all the remaining column is having the 506 entry. So we came to know that time underscore taken column is having the 12 missing values. Now what to do? In the company, the data analyst is doing this job. They are finding how many missing values are available. And after knowing that this amount of missing values are available, then they are doing the discussion with higher management. What to do with this missing value? Whether to remove or whether to keep, or whether to replace this missing value with the help of zero. So this all we are doing with the help of mathematical understanding. Please note down in the notepad. Missing value treatment we are doing with the help of mathematical analysis. We are not randomly going and just replacing missing value by zero. So we are replacing the missing value with the help of mathematical understanding, and there are so many missing value treatment available. And this is the first point. Please note down in your notepad. To become a data scientist, whenever we are cleaning the data, this is the first process we are doing in the data set. That is, this is the data pre-processing step. Missing value treatment is called as data pre-processing step. And in this project, we are at analysis that we are going to replace that missing value with the help of average value of that column, that is mean. So what we are doing, we are calculating the average value of that time underscore taken column with the help of this instruction. We are calculating the average value of that column. Why? Because majority time, if you are having the mean information available in the numerical column, time underscore taken is the numerical column. If the missing information is available in the numerical column, so majority time we are replacing that missing information with the help of average value of that column. Average value of that column or median value. So always remember, if your column, please note down, if your column is numerical in nature, majority time we are replacing the missing value either by median or either by median or either by mean. And if your data set is non-numerical, that is categorical, here one data column is available, 3D underscore available, which is categorical. If any missing information is available in categorical data set, at that time use mode. We are going to replace the information by mode. What do you mean by mean median mode? Mean median mode is called as a center tendency. It is called as a central tendency. Mean means average value, median means middle value. If you are having 50 values, numerical value, arrange in the ascending order, all 50 value arrange in the ascending order and find the middle value, middle number, that is the median. And mode is nothing but most frequent data in your data point. If you are having the 4 data point like 2, 1, 3, so 2 is repeating 2 times, so 2 is your mode. The data which is repeating in the most frequency, that is plus mode. So that's the missing value treatment. Just I have given you in the very short way how to impute the missing value. So if the data set is numerical, give the priority to the mean value or median value. So here calculating the mean value of that data column, time underscore taken, this is the column. We are calculating the average value, and by executing this, we are getting the average value. So this is the average value. Now what we are doing, we are replacing that missing information. Fill NA. Fill NA means what? Fill that missing value. Wherever the missing value is present, fill that missing information with the help of this average value. We have calculated this average value in the previous instruction. So we are filling that missing value with the help of this average value. So this is the average value, and we are filling that missing value with the help of this average value, and then we are executing this. After executing this, that for has been, we are doing it that putting in place is equal to true. In place is equal to true means whatever the missing information we have filled with the help of main value, it is available in the original data frame now. If we are putting here true, okay. So here we are imputing that process, and after that, if you are running the same information again df.info, now you can check. Now you can check time underscore taken column is now having 506 values. Previously, time underscore taken column is having the 494 values. Now it is having 506. Why? Because we have replaced that missing value with the help of average value of that column. So in this way, this method is called as a missing value imputation. Missing value imputation. So this is the first step of data pre-processing. After that, we are going for the next step. We are going to see that any categorical column is present or not. And finally, we can also check finally by replacing that missing value with the average value, check that total number of missing value in the column. So after running this, you will find no missing value is present now in the data set. All data is completed now. Now, after that, next data pre-processing step is converting categorical column to numerical. Note down, please note down the participant, those who are fresher, converting the categorical column to numerical. Why we are doing this? Reason behind that. Reason behind is that many machine learning algorithms only want numerical data. Please note down, many machine learning algorithms want only numerical data as the input. SVM is one of them, because machine only understand number, machine don't understand categorical data. So finally, machine is learning from the number only. So this is our priority during the data pre-processing. We are converting the data, that is categorical data, into numerical data. So we are doing with the help of many method. One method is dummy variable method. Dummy variable method is the method where we are converting non-numerical column to numerical column. So first of all, we will check in our data set who are the non-numerical column. So with the help of this instruction df.head, we will check that in our data set, we are having the two non-numerical column. One is 3D underscore available. This is non-numerical column. And one is genre. This is non-numerical column. So we came to know that in our data set, there are two non-numerical column. So we are using time 3D underscore available and genre. So these are the two non-numerical column. So now it is our responsibility to convert this non-numerical column to numerical, and we are using the dummy variable method. So that method we are doing here, and we are giving this pd.get underscore dummies method. This method is converting non-numerical column to numerical, and we are giving that two column name here where that non-numerical data is present. 3D underscore available and genre. 3D underscore available and genre. These are the non-numerical column we are giving to this pd underscore dummies method. And when we will execute this, after that again we will check our data. So our data is converted to numerical now. This instruction is converting non-numerical data to numerical. Which two column is converted into numerical? 3D underscore available and genre. And how it is converting? Now let's see how it is converting. In our 3D underscore column, there are two categories, yes, yes, no. So by applying with PD underscore dum is, we will get the two more column, that is 3D underscore available yes and 3D underscore available no, and where it's written 0101. Similarly, in the genre, how many categories are there? That number of the column will be present. So let's check it. After converting into numerical, we are having the data set right now in this fashion. See here. 3D underscore available yes is present, where it is written 1010. Genre underscore comedy having the numerical data in the previous, before converting to the numerical. See, the genre is having the categorical value. Now genre is converted into this, all numerical data. So in this way, we are converting non-numerical data to numerical data with the help of many methods. Many methods are available. Here we have used the dummy variable method. So after converting your data into numerical, finally, now we can go for data visualization with the help of Python. We can use the matplotlib library, also Seaborn also. I am not going to execute this code now, this line, because it will take minimum 15 to 20 minutes to show this graph. So in this pair plot graph is that it is showing the relationship between all input variable and output variable. It is showing the relationship between all the input variable and output variable. Now see here, this is the graph available. In this graph, we can observe that relationship between this variable and this variable. Whatever the variable is present here, it is linear in nature. It is linear in nature. So just observing this data visualization, we are having the analysis that that's what in the industry majority time Tableau BI is used. See here, all graphs are very small. We cannot identify very easily. So if you want to do the proper analysis, you have to go for data visualization using Power BI and Tableau. Data visualization using Power BI and Tableau. At that time, you can go ahead for this process. So this is called as a data visualization. After doing the data visualization, yesterday I have shown one baby step project to you. In that baby step project, I have shown the information that we are separating the input and output. Input is given to one variable and output is given to one variable. Similarly, here also we are doing the same thing. We are set input column and output column, so that now we are going for machine learning process. Okay. So here we are separating the output column and we are giving all the input column to the X variable. Here we are giving all the input column to X variable with the help of this instruction. After executing that, all the input columns is given to X variable. Now, if you want to observe the input column only, so input column is present where output column is not available. Start underscore take Oscar is not available. We are splitting the input and output, separating the input and output. So input column is given to X. Finally, we will check the shape of input, how many rows and how many column. So here 506 rows and 20 column. How the column is get increased, because we have converted that non-numerical column to numerical. So column has been increased. Hence it is showing the 506 rows and 20 column. Similarly, we are giving the output variable to Y. Output variable to Y, that is Y as a variable, and this is the output column. Start take Oscar is our output column. We are giving to this variable now. After giving to this variable, we are checking the output column. So this is our output column having the information 1010. And as I said you, if your output is having the information 1010 or yes no, so it is a discrete data type. And in the discrete data type, we are using the classification problem. Always remember classification problem. So now we are checking the shape of output column. Shape of output column is one column and 506 rows. One column and 506 rows. See guys, might be possible you are not understanding this concept because directly I am explaining you the industry project. Okay, without knowing the mathematics, without knowing the data science technique, without having the knowledge of Python. But don't worry, my major objective is that to give the direction in future what you have to learn. So this all process will come in future during the data science project, that is converting non-numerical data to numerical, missing value treatment and so on. And finally, we are going for machine learning right now. So we are splitting our overall 506 rows into training and testing. We are splitting our complete data set into training and testing with the method sklearn library and train test split. Now we are separating our data here. In the very first day of the lecture, if you remember, whenever we want to apply the data to machine learning, first we are separating our data into training and testing portion. So here we are separating our overall data into training and testing, and we are separating that with the help of sklearn library and train test split package. This is a train test split package. Execute this. After that, we are separating our data with the help of this instruction in such a way that our 20% data is going to testing data set and 80% data is going to training data set. Always remember the percentage of training data set should be higher, 80, 20, 70, 30. So 70 is for training and 30 is for testing, or 80 is for training and 20 is for testing. Always remember. And that all is done by this instruction automatically. So when we will execute this line, so after executing this line, 80% of the data is given to the X train, that is training, and 20% of the data is given to the test. 20% data is given to the test. What is the testing data? The testing data is used to check the model. Testing data is used to check the model, and training data is used to train the machine. Always remember. Okay. So after splitting the data 80% and 20%, now let's check what is the training data set. This is a training data set. And if you can see the shape of training data set, this is a shape of training data set. Out of 506 rows in the original data set, we have split into 80 into 20. So if you can see, the 80% of 506 is 404. 80% of 506 is 404. So we are having 404 observation in training data set. After that, we are having the 20% data set into the testing. So this is the testing data set. So in this way, we are converting the training and testing process of the data. And finally, we are going for the standardization. What do you mean by standardization? Please note down the meaning of standardization. Note down the meaning of standardization. Standardization meaning is that whenever in our data point, we are having the data in the different ranges. For example, see here, we are having the budget column is in the range of lakh, in the range of 100. We are having the lead actress rating is in the name, in the number of tens. Okay, so whenever we are having the distribution of data in the very different way, some column is having the value in terms of lakh, some column is having the value in terms of zero, and so on. So at that time, we are using the standardization. What is the meaning of standardization? To bring the entire data set into the same range. To bring the entire data set into the same range. Why? What is the reason behind that? Because as I said, machine only understand number, and whenever the higher number is there, so machine will be biased to that column. If in the budget column, if the number are in the lakh range, so machine is giving the importance to budget column, although other columns are also important. So this should not happen. Machine should treat all the column equally. So at that time, we are using the standardization method. So this is the standardization method. In the standardization method, what we are doing, we are converting our entire data set into same range. So that is the standardization process. So just execute this. After executing this, we are giving our training data set to the standardization. We are giving the testing data set to the standardization, so that standardization is applied to the training and testing. And finally, we are having all the data set available into the such a range that it is in between 0 and mean of that column is 0 and standard deviation is 1. Standardization means what? What we are going to do? We are converting the entire columns into a same range in such a way where the mean of all column is 0. If you are going to take the mean of movie line, it will become 0 and standard deviation will be 1. Standard deviation will be 1. That's what I am saying you guys. This is highly mathematical. All concept in the machine learning is mathematics. If you are not understanding anything, don't worry, because it is high end mathematics. And after doing overall standardization and all, now we are applying support vector machine as an algorithm to learn from that. Now here we are applying support vector machine. We are importing the support vector machine package from sklearn library. Now execute this. After executing the support vector machine, we are giving our training data for learning, X train and Y train. Always remember, as I said, we are giving the training data set for learning. So here we are applying the support vector machine to the training data set, and this line is called as a machine learning. This line is called as a machine is learning from the training data. Always remember, this is called as the machine learning. Here machine is learning from the past data, training data, and once this line is executed, now it will take some time for learning. So that's why it is, yeah, now it is learned. After executing this line, machine learn from the training data. Now we are ready for the prediction and evaluation of the data. After learning the data, we are doing the prediction on testing data. Always remember, once the machine learn from the training data, so machine will give the output as a model, and when we are applying the testing data to the model, machine will give the prediction. So here we are going to predict the test data. Here we are written here, predict the test data. This is your model now. After learning, this is your model now. Model dot predict, and we are giving the testing data to that model, and we are checking that what is that prediction now. After executing this line, and after executing line, this is your prediction. Wherever 1 is written, that movie will win the award, and wherever 0 is written, that movie will not win the award. That is called as a prediction in the support vector machine. So in this way, you are doing the project in the company. All mathematical analysis are coming in front of you right now, because as I said, this is high-end mathematics. If you will not understand anything, guys, from the today's video, don't worry. I am repeating number of times. This is a high-end project I have explained to you. If you are a fresher and if you are a learner also, completely high-end project I have explained to you. This is the machine learning world. Just note down the direction whenever you will enter in the world of machine learning, these concepts are going to encounter. So after predicting the model, you are checking your model is working properly or not, evaluation. So you are checking the model performance with the help of evaluation. And please again note down in your notepad, classification algorithms is having the accuracy as the evaluation parameter. If you want to evaluate model, if you want to test your model, at that time you are using the accuracy score as well as confusion matrix. So this is the process. So you are going to judge and you are going to evaluate your model with the help of confusion matrix as the evaluation matrix. Evaluation means what? Testing the model and accuracy. So after running this algorithm, confusion matrix, you are having this confusion matrix score available. After running the accuracy, this is the accuracy of your support vector machine. Right now our accuracy is coming 56 only. Why? Because might be there are so many reasons available. Okay, so this is called as the support vector machine, where we are using the overall data pre-processing. We are splitting the data into training and testing. After splitting the data into training and testing, we are applying the algorithm. After applying the algorithm, we are checking the prediction, we are checking the model performance. So this is the overall process. So in this way, we people are doing the project in the company. Might be possible you didn't understand anything. Don't worry. The intention behind this today class was to show how machine learning world is working. And I have told the organizers also, whenever I will start the machine learning, if high-end project I will start, might be possible participant will not understood. So this is the process we people are doing in the company. Whatever the process I have explained you right now from last half hour. So we are doing this all project in the company, and we are doing this project in the company in 5 to 6 months. So you can understand 5 to 6 month analysis I have explained you within half hour. So in this way, we people are working in the company. This is the working of support vector machine, and we are doing the analysis of any project whenever the data set is given to us. So this is the process, guys. If you are having any doubt, please unmute your mic and please ask me.